Secrets of the Soul, Inspirational Women Living with Purpose. Today we have the beautiful Kate. Hi, Kate.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No worries. How are you going today?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good. We'd like to begin with you just sharing a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay, so I am a counsellor, an intuitive counsellor, and I also am a Reiki practitioner, and I use emotional freedom technique a lot in my counselling. So that's sort of what I do. I have my business, Becoming Happy, and that's what I do in sort of a business sense. I'm also a mum, and I have one beautiful daughter who's in year 5, and a husband who's wonderful, and I don't know, I'm all sorts of things. I'm whatever I need to be.
That's amazing. Thank you. Yes, Ashley and I are both mothers ourselves, but we have a lot younger children. I have a 2-year-old, and Ash has a 2-year-old, and I have a 11-month-old as well. So,
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Kate, where can people sort of locate you or find your business or what you do?
So that's such a funny question, because I have been practicing at Gnostic Wellness Centre for just over a year, which has been absolutely amazing. At the moment, I have been just practicing virtually because of, social distancing.
Yeah.
And moving forward now, I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen next. It feels like such an interesting time where everything's in flux. So I have been seeing a lot of clients just over Zoom, just for the counselling and tapping, which works well. It's not ideal because I love to be in the room with people.
Yeah.
And I'm really missing I said to somebody the other day, I'm really missing getting my hands on people. It sounds weird, but
totally understand.
Yeah, I miss hugging people. I had a client yesterday, and I just so badly wanted to hug her through the phone.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting back into clinic and back into practice.
Yeah,
I think as well, because you always are so close with your clients, and you have that connection with them, that's what you want with their sessions, So it's very taken us all out of our comfort zone, really, to just step back and have to do everything online or work from home or this and that, and constantly being around people all the time and then constantly not. It's a very bizarre feeling. So I can definitely relate. One of my other jobs, I was with clients all the time, and just doing your practice and just feel like helping them through everything.
So it's it'll be nice to get back to that, and it'll be nice to get back to doing Reiki. I love doing the Reiki hands-on. I mean, I can do it distance and it works just as well, but I just love being able to hold space and being able to offer that for people. And I love being able to lie down as the client and have somebody put their hands on me and feel that energy as well. So I know how important that is.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. What are your daily practices and what grounds you, Kate?
That's another funny question. So just the other day, I went and received Reiki, and the practitioner pointed out that I needed to be more grounded. He was very diplomatic, but he was like, oh, your crown chakra is really good and healthy, and then base chakra not so much. And it got me really thinking about what grounds me and what I need to do to become more grounded. So I have in the past had good practices where I will do deliberate visualizations of feeling my feet like feeling the energy of my feet go into the earth. And just this morning I started doing that again. I actually had a dream just as I was waking up this morning that I was being interviewed, funnily enough, and somebody asked me that question.
Oh, wow.
Might have been like a little like premonition or something.
Yeah.
So, and in the dream I said, oh, I feel the energy going down from my feet. And I woke up and thought, I should be doing that. Like, I'm not actually doing that. I do. So I definitely meditate every morning. I think it's the most important thing in the world, and I would just be a disaster if I didn't do it. And it doesn't, like, I like to give myself a good amount of time to do it. So during the whole stay-at-home time, I was doing 45 minutes, but I've just recently set my alarm a bit earlier so I can do an hour, because it takes me that long sometimes to get into it. It might take me up to 45 minutes to slow my brain down and settle into something. So that is my main really important daily practice.
Yeah.
And then whatever else feels right and whatever I'm able to fit in.
That's great. Yeah. No, that's really good. I can definitely relate to the taking the time to actually get into that meditation, because my mind is a million miles an hour. It always has been. And when I need to slow my brain down, I find it takes me a good half an hour to even get to that point. And sometimes I don't, and I just stop doing it, which I shouldn't, but it's good to definitely allow more time to do it, so then you do get to complete it and you feel lucky.
And I feel the more you practice meditation as well, the quicker it is for you to come into that deeper state. So I think it's about consistency with meditation. Yeah. And I love the grounding technique. Like with the tree trunks, when you imagine the tree trunks coming from your feet and they're going into the ground, into the roots, and I love that so much. Such a good grounding technique there.
Yeah, I love that one as well. I find I'm not very visual, so
yeah,
for me it's enough to sort of feel, like I just focus on the soles of my feet and I can feel them, and then feel them growing, if that makes sense. Like feel them moving towards the ground.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's like just feeling the energy moving. It's good. I did one this morning as well that was recommended, where you imagine energy coming up through your feet and up through your whole body, and then out the crown of your head, and then spilling back down and around, and then it wraps back around to your feet and comes back up, and like sort of keeps going like a loop.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I just picture like someone's electromagnetic field, like the energy flowing around that person. That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Kate. We wanted to ask you, what led you to your purpose work and your career?
So it's been sort of a lifelong journey, I guess. So I had a really rough time in high school, even sort of towards the end of primary school, but particularly in high school, I hated it. So, and so I left in year 10 and I sort of floated around and did bits and pieces, but I was not very happy, and I certainly wasn't connected to myself. I didn't know who I was at all. Yeah. And I think I was probably really aware of that disconnection. There's a Taoist theory that you sort of in your early teens sort of time, you disconnect from God and disconnect from yourself. And that's part of growing up and becoming. So like little kids are really connected, and then you begin to disconnect, and you just aware of that disconnection. And then the next part of the journey is finding your way back to it. And
I really resonate with that, actually. Same similar thing happened to me as well on my journey. I felt that disconnect around like 12, 13. That's yeah. Keep going. I just really resonate with that. Yeah.
It's and at the time I can remember being in year 6, I think, and saying to someone, I'm depressed, and they were like, what does that even mean? You're not depressed. And I don't think I even knew what it meant. I think I just knew something wasn't right, and I couldn't figure out what it was. so it took me a while to get there, and I was so fortunate that I had amazing people supporting me and giving me suggestions, and I found my way to kinesiology, which I just loved so much. I had a couple of appointments with a practitioner and ended up deciding that I wanted to learn how to do that. So when I was 21, I went and did a diploma in kinesiology, it was a full-time diploma, and that just completely changed my life. It was incredible. I met amazing people. We practiced on each other all the time. So it was like insane. It was like you're seeing a practitioner 2-3 times a day, 5 days a week.
Wow. Learning so much about yourself.
Yeah. It was one of the best things I've ever done. And at the end of it, I needed a few years off just to integrate all of the stuff that I processed and done, but absolutely amazing. So from there, I sort of knew that was the only thing for me, like energy medicine and natural therapies and just working on myself became the main thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And being able to, support other people to do the same thing. It's just fun. I love it. It just feels, that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that and you can feel that. Thank you for sharing your experience on this journey of purpose.
Pleasure.
I feel like as well, that's why, like you said, to your friends when you're younger, you feel depressed and you didn't know what it was. And I think a lot of people in their adolescence really can relate to that, because they go from like being a child to that transition, and then they hear about all this depression and stuff like this, so they just kind of can relate, and they think it's that, but it might just be like they're just really truly trying to find themselves and trying to reconnect to that sort of adulthood almost.
Yeah.
But that sort of awkward in between that you don't know what you want to do, and you still got to sort of stumble along and find what your purpose is. But yeah, I think that a lot of people can definitely, like myself, I can definitely relate to that too. And you don't know what it is at the time, but then when you go back and you look back on it and think, wow, like that's definitely, that was my time to really grow. And yeah, so that's really good. Thank you so much for sharing.
That's okay.
We wanted to ask you, who inspires you?
Oh.
It can be anybody, so it could be like
anything.
Yeah, anything really.
There are so many people. So like people who inspire me, it's so funny. The first person that pops into my head is Alison Filahia. She's just beautiful. She's just so great. And ever since I met her, I just think, wow, like it's just her energy, I think. I just love how willing she is to share, and how important it is to her to take care of herself.
Yeah.
And all of those things and I've learnt so much from her and grown so much. So yeah, but there's so many others as well. I think anyone who is just willing to take care of themselves, I think, is the main thing that is important to me. Anyone who, even if it's hard and they don't know how to do it, just having that courage to sort of say, I'm going to look at this within myself, and I'm going to see if I can figure out a way to feel better.
Yeah.
I think is really inspiring.
Yeah, willingness is such a strong energy behind it. And I think if you're willing in any situation, the universe will help to provide that for you to move forward. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those people that like truly look after themselves, they inspire you to do it, and then that inspires other people, and then you talk about it, and then you're putting that really good energy out there, and you're letting people know that, you know, your self-care is important, and, you know, you have to put yourself first in order to be able to help other people and everything like that.
Absolutely. And I think as well, like, self-care is so underrated. I think we all know that. But there's an aspect, I mean, sometimes it's really scary to look at what's going on for you, and sometimes there's stuff that you're really unwilling to look at because it feels so uncomfortable and you don't even know why. But there's also, you know, we're so driven and we're so busy, and sometimes it just feels like there's no time to do any of that sort of thing. So I think it is really courageous to set that time. And, you know, setting time for yourself might mean that you're missing out on time when you could be earning money, for example. So it might feel like a really dangerous thing to do, to create that time for yourself. It might be that you're missing out on time in friendships, and losing that friendship, there could be some belief within you that means that, you know, if you don't spend time with the people every day, you're going to lose the friendship and you're going to be alone or whatever. So it's quite a scary thing to do, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, I feel like it puts you back to, you know, when you're a kid, how you either had like a hobby or a sport that you really love to do, and, you know, self-care for children is so important, but that doesn't continue, unfortunately. Sometimes, you know, it doesn't follow on, and it's really sad because sometimes you forget about your self-care and what makes you feel good, and, you know, what motivates you and everything like that too. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. That's it, especially because we're just so busy. Everybody is. That's why the last few weeks have been so lovely. Like, I know there's been difficulties and some of it's been scary, but just being forced to stop has been nice.
I know my self-care routine has definitely picked up since not being rushed around all the time. So it's nice just to sit back and kind of regain energy again.
Yeah, like, I'm learning so much from my children because they are just little beings. They're just being all the time, and, you know, it really inspires you to just allow yourself to be and stop doing all the time. Yeah,
definitely.
Kate, I hear that you do tapping. So is that the emotional freedom technique?
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about that and maybe show us a technique or something?
Yeah, I can do that. So tapping is, we tap on points that are from the traditional Chinese medicine meridian system, so the acupuncture points. It's really magical, and it's so funny. I find it hard to explain because I can't get across the magicalness of it. But essentially, there's so many things that happen when you access these meridian points. One of the things that happens immediately when you start tapping on like any acupuncture point is that you feel calm. So it immediately sort of taps into your nervous system and brings your energy back down, which then, so right from the start, without sort of going into any detail, if you start tapping particularly on, there's this point here that's, so if you go to sort of that little middle point in your collarbone, the V, and just go out a tiny bit, so there's like a little hollow, and you can tap on both sides or one side. It just slows your energy down. It slows the nervous energy down. It makes it easier to think clearly. It just, you know, brings you back to yourself. So that's like the first quick amazing thing that happens as soon as you start tapping. So that's why I use it so much in counselling, because people are trying to wade through their stuff and what's going on, and then just a simple action that they can take helps to take some of the anxiety, some of the stress out of the situation, and just to get a bit more clarity, so it's quicker for people to sort of go, oh, I can see what the problem is.
Yeah.
It also, so from the Chinese medicine point of view, your qi, or your life force energy, moves through the meridians, and it's supposed to flow harmoniously all in one direction, going back and forth through each meridian around your body, like that electromagnetic field that we were talking about before. So as the energy flows, things happen, and sometimes it gets stuck, it gets stagnant. So tapping on the points in order just helps to get it moving again and flowing in the right direction, so that everything in your body and then consequently in your life starts to flow more harmoniously. So I know, did you want me to do like a little demonstration?
If
or
you'd like to, that would be nice.
I've got to think of a topic. So you don't even need a topic, but let's say, just as an example, if we say, if we were to say, I don't have time for self-care, you know, which happens fairly often. A client comes in, the first thing I always say to everybody is, you should try meditation. And the first thing they always say back is, I don't have time, or I can't meditate.
Yeah. That's the most common thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've probably said those things back in the years. So
I've definitely.
I know I have, definitely.
So let's actually say I can't do it, because that's a huge thing, and that doesn't just apply to meditation. It applies to so many things in our life where we want to do something but we just can't. That's not something that I can do. And you know, that's always because that there's a belief somewhere in your body. Somebody told you once you weren't good at it, or you thought you weren't good at it and you decided that was the truth. So in this example, so we start on the side of the hand. It's called the karate chop point. And you just tap on that point a few times. It doesn't have to be hard or soft or anything, and you swap hands as often as you like. And you would say something along the lines of, even though I'm not good at meditating, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And take a breath and say, even though I'm not good at meditating, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And already I can feel, it's not even my thing, and I can feel myself calming down.
Wow, tapping is very powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you tap on the top of your head.
Yeah.
And when I'm taking a client through the process, I would get them to repeat after me certain statements, and usually we would start with the stuff we've been talking about, and quite often intuitively other ideas would come to me and let them say that, or I might say, you just talk now and tell me what's going on. But we would say, you know, to keep it really simple, you can just say the problem over and over again while you're tapping. So you can just say, I can't meditate.
Oh, wow.
I'm not good at it. I'm not good at meditating. Just on the outside of your eye, say, I can't do it. I'm not good at it. I can't meditate. I'm terrible at meditating. I can never do it. My mind always races. And the last point's under your arm to say, I can't do it. And then I would just ask them to stop and take a breath and have a drink of water, which is really important. Always important to have a drink of water.
I have one.
Yeah, like, where's my water?
And then amazingly at that point, you know, a lot of people already feel better. They already feel like, oh, okay. Sometimes, depending on what it is at this point, they actually feel worse because you've brought things to the surface, because things that are trapped deep in our bodies have to come out. It's like, it's like an infection sometimes that's so deep, and you have to feel it as it's coming out. Yeah. So at this point you'd sort of say, okay, now breathe, and what? How do you feel? What thoughts popped into your head about that?
Yeah.
And there's always something, and then you just keep following it and seeing what happens next.
Yeah.
And eventually you find yourself going through the process and you actually feel pretty good. So if you were just tapping on your own, you'd come to a point where you start to go, like, oh, I actually feel better than I did. And maybe I'm okay about this sort of thing. Like, maybe I can meditate. Maybe I can give it a try. So,
and there's certain points like that you should tap, or is it just starting from the top and then working your way sort of?
Yeah. So if everybody does it a bit differently, I've noticed that there's a few different ways of doing it. The way that I was taught is start on the top of your head and work your way down. So it's the top of your head, the inside corner of your eyebrow, the outside corner of your eye, then under your eye, under your nose, on your chin, then that collarbone point that I showed you before, and then there's one under your arm. It's about 2/3 of the way up between your waist and your armpit.
Yep.
And then when I was taught, she said, then just come back to this one because it's so good. And just, yeah. And right, like it really comes down to how you're feeling. Like if it's something that you're doing at home and it's a topic that is stressful, you might get to hear and feel unhappy. There might be some emotion coming up. So at that point, if you wanted to keep going and go through the whole thing again without stopping, that would be fine. The worst thing you could do would be to bring up all that stress and feel really upset and then just go, oh, it's not working, and stop, because then you're just in this anxious sort of spot.
So would you recommend to keep doing it until you started to release it, how you were feeling? Or
yeah, it happens pretty quickly. It really depends what you're dealing with. And I think most people know their own limits. Like, you wouldn't get to something really, really stressful without sort of knowing yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say sort of keep going until you feel a bit of relief. But say you're in a situation where you've got 2 minutes. You're at work, something stressful's happened, and you've just gone to the toilet and you're like sitting on the toilet feeling really upset. You could just quickly go through, tap all the points and breathe. If something like that was happening, you wouldn't dig in to like what's upsetting you. You wouldn't sort of start to bring it all up and have a big cry about it, obviously. Yeah. But you could use it as a really quick thing to just sort of go, I can be calm now, or something, even though this thing happened, I would like to feel calm now. Yeah, that sort of thing.
Just to regain yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I've never done tapping before.
It's amazing.
Known, much about it either. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I feel like really blown away with, like, I just feel a bit overwhelmed, like, with it all. I'm like, it's just so simple and it's so effective.
Yeah.
And it's just that putting that mindset into a physical form, I suppose, if I'm correct in what I'm saying, putting it into that physical, feeling it and everything like that. So
yeah, well, it absolutely helps when I'm working with a client, if they've got, like I said, because it brings more clarity and more calm. So if there's something going on that's hard to talk about or hard to even wrap your mind around, it helps. Like you said, it just sort of grounds you into your body so that you become more clear and you can get those ideas and understand them better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kate, we wanted to ask another question. What, if you had a message for all women or anybody out there, what would you tell them?
That's a good question. I think I probably already said it a little bit. I think I would tell them that you are worth taking care of, and that a willingness to take care of yourself is all that you need. So if you, like, I can say meditate every day, and I can say do this and do that process, but really if you think that you don't have time, or you're not good at that sort of thing, or all of these sorts of things, or particularly you might be thinking, you know, I can't do that because I've got to look after my children, or I've got to look after all the other things I look after. Just having that willingness, just saying, today I am willing to do something nice for me. Today I'm willing to try. You know, I'm willing to try to meditate. I'm willing to sit for 5 minutes and breathe. Or I'm willing to make a cup of tea and sit down and drink it before it gets cold. You know, like, it's so important just to be with yourself and trust yourself enough to be with yourself. Get to know yourself.
That's such a powerful message. Yes, I completely agree. I love that. It's really good.
That's really nice. Thanks, Kate. Do you have a favorite Reiki position that you do daily, or that you do with clients a lot? Or
yeah, I really like so this one, I guess it's solar plexus. That seems to be where I gravitate to. So like solar plexus, navel area. And quite often I'll do this one as well. I did Reiki one when my daughter was a baby, and down in Sydney, and the teacher there, she said, even if you can just do this, so one hand on the solar plexus, one hand on the heart, that's the sort of, again, that's like the calming, it's the panic, the crisis sort of position. Just bring yourself back to that personal power and that love. And yeah, because I'll often do that when I'm doing my meditation in the morning. I'll often do Reiki on myself at the same time. And it's just nice and calm.
It feels good. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, it feels nice.
Yeah. And it's another thing that you can do in a social setting. You can do it for, 30 seconds at work. You can do it in a meeting. It's not something weird that you're doing that people are going to say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
that's right.
It's very subtle. It's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. You could do it on somebody, like, without them knowing what you're doing as well. Like, I know sometimes if my daughter's like in a toddler 2-year-old still working out her emotions, or if she's upset, I'll just sort of either put my hands on her stomach and just sort of like almost give her a cuddle. Like, if she doesn't want to be touched, it's fine, but like, just sort of like hold her. And I think there's so much power in your hands. And it can just do so much. Or sometimes I'll just like put my hands on her head and just sort of help her calm down a little bit.
Well, that's a really good one. There's points here, the emotional stress release points, which are, so if you do that to anyone, or the same thing when you're feeling stressed, you might find yourself doing it without even knowing,
Yeah.
to just bring that stress down.
Yeah,
Funny
definitely.
how our body automatically knows what we need at the time as well. Yeah, that's really cool.
Just do things like subconsciously without realizing. Like sometimes I'll go to sleep like that.
Yeah. It's a really good point. Your body knows everything that it needs. It's so important to trust it.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start trusting it, that's when you sort of start to be so aware of everything that's happening with your own body.
How it all connects too.
You can regulate yourself a lot better. And really cool.
It's so funny when, like, just over the years, I've noticed so often if there's anything wrong with my physical body, it's always a thought that's caused it. To the point where it's like, if there's something wrong now, you guys are probably the same. You just sort of go, oh God, what did I think to do this? And you can always find it if you look.
Yeah.
I can completely relate to that, Kate, because there was a time in my life where I felt like I wasn't being able to voice my opinion. And this went on for a long time, and I felt like not in control of my situation. And I actually got into a fever so bad. And I couldn't talk, my whole throat had swelled up, like everything. So my body was truly like telling me like what I needed to do. Like it was incredible. Like it's just, my body's like almost punishing me in that way, just because I couldn't, I wasn't doing what I knew that I had to do. So my body was just responding in that sense.
Yeah. It's a really loving thing that our bodies can do. Like, it's not a punishment. It's like it starts off as a gentle way trying to get your attention, just like, a tickle in the throat or some discomfort. But your body is never going to give up on you. It's never going to sit back and go, oh, well, I guess she doesn't need to express herself. It's going to get worse and worse and worse until you listen.
That's so true.
It comes up so much with my clients, and I find myself so often within the tapping will say something along the lines of, I appreciate my body for holding these emotions for me. I appreciate my body for giving me this pain. I know that my body is loving me. It's trying to love me and help me and get my attention, because everything, all these pains and aches and right down to more serious things, it's always going to come back to something that your body's trying to get your attention.
Very true. Very true. We just wanted to ask, I know we spoke about self-care routines and things like that before, but do you have like a specific self-care routine that you practice, or is it whatever you're feeling?
So depending on time, but the most important thing for me is always the morning. So, and I've just this week, I've sort of switched it a little bit more. So I do something I heard of years ago. It's called RPM, Rise, P, Meditate. And it's like there's nothing else that I get to do. But what I started doing over the years was checking my phone. I'd get up and I'd check my phone, and then I'd pee, and then I'd meditate. And it doesn't work. It's a disaster. So this week I've got a new system, which is that the phone stays off. Like I pick it up because I use it for the music or whatever meditation I'm doing, but I'm not allowed to check emails. Even if there's texts there flashing up, I'm not allowed to look at them. I even put the do not disturb on my phone, so I can't get any messages come through before 6:30 a.m. So nothing's going to flash up. But then from there, so it's like I start every day with that meditation, and then whatever comes next. So this morning I had time, so I did some journaling. I love cups of tea. I love herbal tea. So sitting and just enjoying that, I think, is a really important thing. Just whatever feels good. And I like to make sure that I go and see a practitioner like pretty frequently, like at least once a month. And I've realized that I needed that, so I've just budgeted for it, and I put money aside every week knowing that I'm going off to have Reiki or have kinesiology or whatever.
Yeah, that's so important too.
Mm.
I've recently just booked an appointment, and I haven't actually had an appointment for self-care for a long time, since last year. Not the whole year, I've not had anything. And it's bizarre because I normally do, but I got so busy and I just completely just didn't register. But yeah, it's nice. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Yeah.
I have a few coming up as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I just thought there's other appointments that are so important too. Like, you know, I always get my eyebrows done,
Yeah.
and I haven't had them done for a couple of months, but I'm very excited to get back there.
I'm the same as well.
You know, just like
All hard.
just lying on that table and getting your eyebrows waxed is so nurturing.
Yeah.
I've been doing my own, and it's not the same. It's really not. I've just been like tinting my own at home, and it's not the same feeling.
No, because somebody touching your face and just, you know, taking care of you, that's what it's about.
So nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Kate. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us, and really learning about you and everything like that. So we're so excited to share everything with you, and it's so nice to have you on.
Thank you so much. It's been so fun. I was so nervous, but it's been so nice chatting with both of you, and I really appreciate being invited.
Yeah, it is a nervous thing. I'm still nervous every day. Really.
We wanted to ask where people can find your if you have a website or Facebook page or
Yeah, so my business is Becoming Happy. So my website is becominghappy.com.au. But yeah, and I've got Facebook, and I'm on Instagram as well. I think I'm Kate Becoming Happy on Instagram. Isn't that terrible? I don't even know my own.
joining the Secrets of the Soul and being an inspirational woman for everyone out there. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Lovely
Have
to
a
see
good
you.
day.
Have a good day.
Bye.